Hi guys, today we are going to start to the Boolean expression and the if, else or for statement in the C++ programming language, okay? And so we need to add the main cpp.file in here, like this one. We need to add the new terminal at this position, and so we need to add also the title of our study in here, Boolean expression, and let's start. Okay, and so what is the Boolean expression? Boolean expression means that, in a simple way, true or false statement in CPP or another programming language, okay? And so if or in order to compare any result, and you will decide the some function or some task by using the Boolean expression, okay? For example, if you have some kind of x 10 money in here and y is the spending money, and so we can create the x greater than and blah 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 can be coded, okay? And so if this is not true, and then we can give the some other codes in order to be run in our programs, okay? And so this is the main definition of the Boolean expression in C++ programming language, okay? And then what about the syntax rule? About the what? About the Boolean expression. In the compiler design, the C++ programming language makes the or gives us two comparison operators like greater, smaller, equal or not equal or blah blah blah, okay? These syntax or these atoms are used to what? To compare the any variables or constant in CPP programming language. And so if we have the any Boolean expression or the any statement in CPP, and then we can compare the statement 1, statement 2 gives us the Boolean expression, okay? And statement 1 equal to statement 2 or something like that, okay? These are the main rules of the syntax of what? The Boolean expression. And so we have another atoms in here like the and or blah blah blah, okay? These are the logic rules. Logic rules related to the what? Related to the Boolean expressions, okay? And so what about the return value of Boolean? The return value of Boolean gives us two results, the true or false, or 1 and 0, okay? Because if this is statement or this statement is true, and then the program gives us the 1 or true value, or this is not true or wrong, and so the program gives us the false statement, okay? And so let's we gonna make some examples in here. Example 1, in order to include the IOStream to write the results of this session, and so we need to add the main function body in order to start in order to give the starting point of our programs, and then we can code these statements. Okay. And so what about this? Firstly, we have the one class or specific variable type in C++ programming language, like this one, Boolean results. Bool is a standard type of in C++ programming language, but in C programming language is not a standard programming types. Okay. And so if we define result with the type of the Boolean or bool keywords, and then these results may have only possessed 1 or 0 value, or true or false value. Okay. And so the result should be equal to the what? The true value in here, like this one, Boolean true, or this one. Okay. Or result can be assigned to what? The false value. Okay. This is the basic definition of the what? Basic definition of the Boolean operators. Okay. And what about the result value in this notation? Result can be given at this time, and so if I run this code and result is equal to the what? Is equal to the 0. But it's coming from the standard definition of the cout and the operators in here. And so in order to show this case with what? With the usage of the true or false, we should add the cout or the some kind of operation in here. But it's directly related to the class structure or class semantics rule in CPP programming language. Okay. And so we need to add some basic notation in here. Bool alpha is an also a manipulators in here, and so we can copy up all these things in here like this one. And bool alpha is a standard notation to write or to output the false and true notation in here. Okay. And then in the first place we don't need to use the bool alpha, and so the program gives us the 0 value, and then the cout with filled with the bool alpha manipulators in here, and so the result value is in the form of the what? Is in the form of the false value in here. Okay. This is the our basic notation related to the what? Relates to the this diagram of the Boolean expressions. This is the first example in here, and so we're gonna continue with the what? With the stream using namespace std int main return 0. We're gonna need to what? The integer or double comparison results. Okay. And so we can define another result in here like this one, and then what? The result is equal to the what? The sum a and b condition at this moment. Okay. And so int a with filled with the what? 5, int b is filled with the 7. And so in order to compare these results, the bool alpha is also given in here. Result is what? The result and lee. Okay. And so if I run this code returns the what? Returns the false value. Okay. But if I'm selecting the a is equal to the what? 9, and so if I rerun this code, and so the result is also true. Okay. And then how can we use this information? This information is useful because at the beginning of the lesson I've talked about the what? Talked about the conditional statements like the if-else statements. Okay. Result equal to true, and then we can write these codes like this one. C out and A is greater than B. Okay, we can condition, and else can be added at this moment, and so A is smaller than B. Okay, this is not important written that page in here or that code in here, but if you're gonna condition any statement in CPP programming language, we should always use these Boolean operators. Okay, everything returns the Boolean. In where? In the if statement or for statement or while or switch statement. Okay, and so if we can condition any conditional statements, and then what? We can select the proper appropriation or the proper selection of the selection of the R codes in running mode. Okay, and so we can select the correct code in order to be applied on this program. Okay, in the engineering approach, we can constantly use these diagrams, the if, else, or switch, or while, or for statements, because we have so many calculations in our program, and so we can direct or we can control any motors or the actuation mechanism in these codes. Okay, and so we should use that. But in CPP programming language, we should add this Boolean statement in order to condition our codes like these ones. Okay, and so what about this? If C out give two double numbers in here like this one, and C in the AD BD A double B double. Okay, double AD BD at this moment, and so we can write the if statement like this one, AD greater than BD, and then the first number is greater than second one. Okay, and NT should be given at this moment, and so if otherwise we should select the first number is smaller than the second one. Okay, this is the correct statement of the output. Okay, and so if I run this code and then true and A is greater than B, and what about this? 5.5 7.7 should be given at this moment, and so the first number is smaller than the second one. This is the correct chosen of our programs. Okay, and then we have a results in here. The double or char or integer or float value should be applied on the Boolean operation. Okay, because the conditional statements is directly related to the Boolean operation or its results value. Okay, and so if you have any decision about your program, you should add the greater, smaller, or other things in here. Okay, this is the second example related to the Boolean expression. And so what about the and or operators? This is another matter of the Boolean condition in CPP programming language. Int main and return 0 value at this moment. Okay, so suppose that we have two variables in here like this one, and then we can give the warning of the users, give two numbers in here, and Cin can be used to fill the A and B values coming from the users. And so what? And also we have the C value and this one, okay? And 3 should be given at this moment, okay? And then what? We can use this syntax, A greater than B and B greater than C, okay? If we use this syntax, the only condition is coming from the collection of these terms. This gives us a true or false statement, and this gives us true or false statement at this moment, and then AND operator, like the logical operator, 1 and 1 produces what? Produces 1 value. But in other case, the either of these terms is equal to the what? 0, and then this condition is evaluated as a 0 value, okay? And so C out A is greater than B and B is, or A is the biggest number, okay? This is the true. And C out B is the second biggest number, and C out C is the third biggest number, okay? And then what? Else we can code the anything in here, okay? C out, I don't know what is the biggest number, okay? We can code the conditions in here. There are 8 conditions at this moment, but this is irrelevant from our study or class. And so if I run this code, give 3 numbers, 3, 4, 5, and so I don't know what's the biggest number, and so I can run this code again, and 5, 4, 3, and so A is the biggest number, B is the second biggest number, and C is the third biggest number at this moment, okay? This is the main condition of the what condition of the our study in here. Related to what? Related to Boolean expressions, okay? And then we can add some basic notation at this moment, like this one. We can add the parentheses in here, and so not equal to 0 value at this time. And so if I run this code, and 5, 4, 3 is equal to what? Is in the correct statements or if statements. And what this tell us? This tell us means that these statements is always compared with the what? With this notation, not equal to 0, okay? You can write these codes in here or not, but the compiler writes these codes in order to evaluate your condition in default values, okay? And so if I use this syntax in here, 1 at this moment, C out, this is true, or else C out, this is not true, okay? If I'm right, this code goes to this is true code, okay? And so if I run again, 5, 4, 3 at this moment, and so voila, at the beginning or at the end of this code output, this is true is given at this moment. Or if I change this one value with the 0, and if I rerun this code, and so 5, 4, 3, and so this is not true. And then what? This is true. Okay? In the every statement or the every conditional operator in C programming language, like the if, else, switch, or while, or for values, this conditional statements is compared with the what with the result of the 0, but in terms of the what not equal 0. Okay? This is the main syntax of the C++ programming language. Okay? And so we can move to the what, move to the switch statement at this time, because if is discussed about in detail, and so we can use the switch statement in here. Include iostream using namespace std and integer main, return 0 is given at this position. Okay? And so what about the switch statement? Switch is a keyword which is defined in the compiler statement, and so generally we have a controller statement in here, like the integer value or while value or something like that. It means double or other terms. Okay? And so the syntax is a simple. We can add the selection statements at this moment, and so cout select the statement like this one, and cin selection is fed with the user. Okay? And so we should add the parentheses in here, and so this selection is constantly compared with the what with the case situations, like this one, case 1. Okay? And blah 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 break, and case 2 blah 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 break. I'm sorry. And case 3 and break. And at the end of this code, if the selection is not equal to the 1 or 3 or 2, and so default statement is run. Okay? And so we can add some parentheses at this time, like this one, like this one, and we can create the code block diagrams at this position. Okay? In the case 1, we can give the case block. Case 1 is calling, can be given at this time. In case 2 is calling, and cout case 3 is calling. Okay? And then if we rerun this code, select the statement, for example 2, and case 2 is calling. Okay? This is the basic syntax of the switch statements. And what about the default value? The number is out of range of your selection. Okay? Can be given at this moment. And so the select statement is equal to the 5 value. The number is out of range of your selection because the case 3, 2, and 1 are written, but case 5 is not written, and so default selection is called at this moment. Okay? And what about our statements or the codes? We can call some another function at this moment. Case 1 function, like this one. Case 2 function in here, like this one. Case 3 function, like this one. And so if I code these things in here, and then we can add the case 1, case 2, case 3 should be given at this position. And so case 1 func is calling, okay, right now. And so I can copy off these things in order to gain much time, like this one. And so if I run again this code, and the select statement is equal to the 3, and so case 3 func is calling. And so this is the showing of the what we can call the some function statement within what, within the case 3 or this parentheses, okay. We can include the some other codes or the many codes in this case situation, and so we can condition our program with the basic selection. The main advantage of the using of the what, the switch statement, is that we can so many, or we can create the, if this is not true or if this not exist, and so in each case statement so we should use the if statements with the else operators, okay, like this one. If we don't have the switch mechanism in the C programming language, and so the case 1 is equal to the selection, like this one, and so the else, and then if case 2 equal to the selection, and if and else, and if case 3 equal to the selection and else, and blah blah blah. Look at this code. This code is going to larger than the switch statement, and it's not easy readable, okay. And so if we don't have, or if we may have this switch mechanism, and so the every conditional statement should be written like in this form, okay. And this bad for the programmers or you, okay. And so this is the main advantage of the using of the switch statements at this position, and so we can condition the anything by using these diagrams, okay. We can create a calculation process, or we can define the different tasks on our engineering program, like the what, we can define controllers, like in here we can define some controllers, or run or drive car, and define sense position, like this one, 1 and 2, and define stop car, define calculate neural network, like this one. And so if we condition the whole the statements in these diagrams with the selection of this property, like this one, and drive car selection can be added in here, okay. And so in the case 2 we can create the measurement statements, okay, and stop car can be added the third question, okay. And calculate NN is another case in this program, case calculate NN, and so we can add the break statement at this position, okay. And so this should be changed with these diagrams. And so case function is the drive car, sense position, and calculate NN, and stop car, okay. These are the main tasks of our programs. Drive car is calling sense position, calculate NN, and stop car at this time. Okay, and so we should change the drive car in here, sense position, and the cout is also reorganized. Calculate NN function and stop car in this case. Okay, and so car is running, measurement is taken, calculating NN is obtained, and car is stopped. These are the engineering concepts, and then we can easily manipulate of the stopping car, or calculating NM position, or sensing or measurement of our sensors, or run the motors. Okay, if I use this selection at this time, we can add the while statement in here, like this one. The selection is not equal to the exit, like this one, exit condition, and so we can define the exit condition as a -1, and so in the initial case, selection can be added in these terms. And so if I create these diagrams in here, this program goes until what the exit condition is given or is filled with the selection one. Okay, and so we can run this code, select statement like 2, and measurement is taken, select statement 3, calculating NN is obtained, and calculating NN is calling 1, this is 8, the number is out of range because we don't have any function at the 8 point. Okay, and so if I give the -1, and then the program is out. Okay, this is the main or general structure about the switch or case conditions. Okay, and so this is all about the switch case condition. In here I can, and then we can forward to the for statement in C++ programming language. Okay, so in CPP programming language we have some keywords in order to build the iteration operation or iterative operations, because some tasks are given to our program in so many times. Okay, and so in order to build or establish this structure, we should use the for keyword. Okay, for example, integer I can be given at this moment, and so suppose that we need to give the 10 times hello world or hello guys in our program. Firstly, you can think of that the hello guys can be given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and so you can write this code like this one, but what about the number of this written object is 1000 or the 100,000? And so the compiler gives us a specific operator or keywords like the for, and so in the syntax rule we should give the parentheses at this moment. and then the every code in the iterative process should be given at this parenthesis, okay, inside this parenthesis. And so the for structure is consisted of the three sections, 1 and 2. And so each section is separated from the what, the dot, comma operations, okay? And so in the first place, in this diagram, the initial condition is given to the programs, okay? And so in the second place, the condition is given, and the iteration process or iteration rule is in here, okay? This is the main syntax of our codes. And so I can delete this and I can use this notation, okay? And so what about the for loops? Firstly, we should create some examples in here, like this one. The initial condition or iteration variable can be defined like this one. Integer I is equal to the 0, okay? In the second place, the condition should be given at this code, like this one. I smaller than 10, okay? And so in the third one, I should be iterated with the 1 and 1. And so the total code should be given at this time. Hello guys is written, okay? And so if I run this code, the code gives us the what? Gives us the 10 hello guys. And so if I change this rule like this one, and so if I run again, and so there are 2 hello guys at these positions, okay? And so this is the basic or main syntax of the for loop, but we can write some examples in here, like this one. This is the first code or the first example of our codes. What about this situation? Integer I is equal to the 10, and so I is smaller than 10, I plus plus can be given at this code. And so the hello guys is also written at this time. And so what happened if I run this code? If I rerun this code, and so there is nothing in here, because the integer I is equal to the 10, and so this condition I is smaller than, or 10 is smaller than 10 is not true, or is not equal to the 0. In this case it's equal to the 0, and so the program does not run, okay? In order to run this program, we can select the initial value of the I9, okay? And so if I run this code, and so one hello guys is written in this code, okay? Because the I is 9, and so 9 is smaller than 10, and the compiler adds this object whether we write or not, and so this operation is completed or executed, and so I is increased, and so now the I is equal to the 10. 10 is not smaller than 10, and so the for loop is broken, okay? And then we can create some other conditions in here. Integer I is equal to the 10, okay? And so I is greater than the 0, and I minus minus. And then what? Cout hello guys number is equal to the what? Is equal to I and empty. We can reverse, or we can create a reverse order counter by using the for loop structure. And so if I run this code, and the 10, 9, 8, blah 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 blah, and 1 is obtained in the output of these programs, okay? These are general notation of this code. But what about this condition is changed with the plus plus? And so if I run this code and then the hello guys is written in the infinity, because in each iteration the I is increased and I is always greater than 0, and so this is equal to the what? This is equal to the endless loop. Okay, this is the another example related to the for loops. Okay, and so what about this structure? Integer I is equal to the 0, I is smaller than 10 and I is equal to the I plus 5, and cout hello guys and I empty. Okay, what happens if I run this code? If I run this code and so 0 and 5 is written, but at the end of this code I is equal to the 10, and so the code is broken. But if I select the greater than equal these terms, and then 0, 5 and 10 is written. Okay, this is another perspective of this program, because the I should not be increased in each iteration 1 and 1. Okay, you can use the 5 or 7 or 10 in your algorithms. Okay, and so if I copy off these whole things in here like this one, and so this term should be organized in here I2. There is no syntax error in here, because the only reason or the only condition to continue this for loop is written at this position. Okay, and so if I run this code with the same structure and then 0, 5 and 10 is also obtained. Okay, and also I can copy off this code like this one. The integer I0 is also removed from this for structure. Okay, and so if I run again this code, and so this code is also gives the 0, 5, 10. Okay, there is no syntax rule in here, but only we should define the I variable and we should use the conditional statements. Okay, and so I can copy off all these things right now. And what about this condition? What happens if I run this code? If I run this code we have the endless loop, because this statement at the bottom of this or the middle of this for loop is not equal to the 0, and so the for loops continue to the infinity. Okay, this is the same structure with the while within the one value. Okay, and so in order to create the endless structure or endless loop in your code, you can use this syntax. Okay, especially in the embedded systems. But if I select the 1 or write 1 value in here, and then this code goes to the infinity. Okay, and so if I select the 0 value in here, and then this code is not run, because 0 is not equal to 0 is a true condition, but this gives us a false value, and so this code cannot be run. Or we can use the true value at this position, and so if I run this code, this for loops endless. Okay, but if I use the false statement in here, and so this code cannot be run. Okay, this is the main property of the for loop in the in C++. programming C or C++ programming language. And so that's all. These are the whole lesson today. Okay, I hope you have learned about how you can use the for loop or switch case or if or the Boolean statements in the conditional ones. And so have a nice guy.